What's happening, guys? Trev back again here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a video review for the newest DC animated direct-to-DVD release, which is Batman The Dark Knight Returns Part 1. Just got finished watching it, and I have to tell you guys, it's the best DC direct-to-DVD release yet. It nails it. It is an absolute masterpiece on every level. The action scenes, the art, the sound, especially the sound, is better than any animated film I've seen so far. It's absolutely astounding. I don't understand why they don't take something like this and put it in theaters, because maybe they just don't think people would be, that amped to see it. But honestly, I would love to see something like this in the theaters. This is a masterpiece, absolutely. If you guys have not read Batman The Dark Knight Returns, it's basically, to give you a rundown, 1986 was released. Frank Miller, essentially, what it is pretty much been separated up into two parts for the animated direct-to-DVD releases. This is part one. Part two is going to be coming out to early 2013. Look up the release date if you want to know exactly. I forget exactly when. But basically, the synopsis, without giving too much away, is essentially Bruce Wayne is retired. He's going on essentially 10 years in retirement. He can't do it anymore. He's had enough of Batman. He's trying to leave it alone and leave it behind. And basically what happens is, it seems everything, is so-so up to this point, when basically what happens is that, crime rate starts to soar, and you have this group that's called the Mutants. And they actually look like mutants, kind of. Their leader is a character that has these really sharp teeth, sort of like Killer Croc, and is big like Killer Croc and humongous, and just real nasty type guy. They have these visors, and they're very kind of unique to them. I mean, they're kind of like Cyclops from X-Men, kind of, but they're grotesque looking, and they'll have like piercings and stuff, kind of like an extreme style of people who get in that whole like gothic type scene. And essentially, the mutant leader forms this humongous group of mutants, they call them, and essentially cause all kinds of ruckus in Gotham. And basically it gets to a point where Bruce decides that he can't help himself anymore, and that he has to go back and become Batman. And he's essentially like 60 years old at this point. Actually, I think he's close to 70. Commissioner Gordon's like 70 years old. He's retiring. He's had enough. He's in his last year as commissioner, and then he's going to be hanging him up for good. And it's essentially an exploration of the character of Batman, to the point where it's like, what is Bruce Wayne without Batman? What's left if he cannot be Batman? And it sort of, in this DVD especially, highlights interesting parts of the story, written by and illustrated by Frank Miller, which is that, without Batman, what's left as a part of Bruce Wayne? What is he without Batman? And this kind of answers that, or not answers, but this is kind of a sort of like character study as a part of it, as to what Bruce Wayne is like without Batman, if he is to hang it up and say he's done and that's it. And this really illustrates the message, I think, a lot better than the comic book does. Even though the comic book, there's a lot of, the art's great, it's really stylized, really different from what you're used to, probably, in terms of comic books. This adds some beautiful sound that really kind of brings out some meaning that you wouldn't just get from reading the comic book series. And that's a brilliant thing. Whenever you have something that sort of takes a source material, expands it, and makes the meaning even greater to the character, that's when you're dealing with something really special, and that's what this is. There are a few points, I don't want to give too much away, but where you'll have Bruce doing introspection. If you guys don't know what introspection is, that's when you're thinking about your thinking. He's kind of sitting there and he's battling in his mind with himself. And you have a voiceover by the voice actor whose name is Peter Weller, who does an amazing job, and he's sort of battling in his mind, talking one side as Bruce, the other side as Batman, and they're sort of battling for control over his life and what he's going to do. Is he going to go back? Is he not going to? Can he stop himself? Can he hold himself back, even though he's got people that care about him around him? he's got Alfred saying, "No, this is it. You can't do it. You can't go back to that." You've got Commissioner Gordon, who's like, "Are you sure?" Like he seems to be, without saying it, kind of like being like, you can't go back to this. You're just too old at this point. This type of thing. And it gets to the point where essentially the battle between those personalities inside him, those identities inside him, clashes to the point where Batman takes over and Bruce Wayne basically cannot fight the urge to become Batman. And I really like the way that this illustrates that. It's probably the most brilliant I've seen yet of Batman, and really understands the character and explains the character better than anything else I've seen in terms of Batman, or even read. And that is that, Batman is not, like, psychologically, Bruce Wayne is not a stable character. He's not a mentally healthy type of person. He is kind of insane. And this really illustrates that. You get to see that battle in his mind. And then, of course, Batman wins, because not necessarily just because he has to, but because of what happened with his parents, that even as a 60-year-old man, he still sees in his dreams, in his mind, he still sees that. And he can't help himself but become, or that identity is so strong within him that it overtakes him, to the point where even though he knows he shouldn't do it, his id inside of him, the deepest level, is truly Batman and not Bruce Wayne. And Bruce Wayne is a shell, a facade, and not really actually the character. So that is probably, what makes this so special to me anyway. In addition to that, you get some amazing fight scenes, man. I mean, I'm going to say, the best fight scenes I've seen, technically, in terms of martial arts, in any animated movie ever. You see Batman and when the Mutant Leader go at it, using Muay Thai clinch. Batman Muay Thai clinches the leader, and the leader defends it properly, in terms of mixed martial arts and how you're supposed to defend a Muay Thai clinch. You get to see several different techniques of jiu-jitsu that are animated in such a way that they're technically perfect. Like in real life, if you were to do that, that's exactly how it would look. And it just looks amazing. The art, you've got Bruce Timm is in there as a producer, so you get that sort of, brings you back kind of in a way to that 90s Batman the Animated Series, where you have that beautiful landscape of Gotham City. You have, the helicopters going over and the blimps or whatever. And, it mixes in Frank Miller's artwork with that and really creates something amazing here. Not only that, but, this story by itself, in terms of the comic book series, is widely regarded as one of the greatest Batman stories ever told. And for me, I have read it before. I've read it a couple times, but for some reason, for me, when I read it in the comic book, it just doesn't do it for me the way, getting to see it animated does. The sound, of course, being that it's some of the best sound I've heard, audio. Even the gunfire sounds amazing. But specifically, the Batman and Bruce struggling for control is just brilliant. The Joker is in there a touch, but just sort of as a standby to lead into the next one, to part 2, which will be really good as well. The fights between the Mutant Leader and Batman, stellar. What else is there? Just essentially watch it if you haven't seen it, or if you're looking for it. It'll be coming out, I think, about 2 weeks from now, late September, to DVD release. And definitely, I can't recommend it enough. I'm giving it a perfect 10 out of 10. I think it's, I'm totally blown away. I think it's one of the best cartoons I've ever seen. And definitely, if you're a Batman fan, you're going to love this. Absolutely. Can't wait for part 2. I'm going to watch part 1 probably at least once or twice more. Absolutely loved it. That's it for this video review, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev saying peace.